This just in. Neuralink CEO Elon Musk, the famous business magnate, I am a big fan. He just announced that Neuralink will be doing human trials after 6 months, in 6 months, once they get an approval from FDA. Now, what's exciting about this announcement is not just the promise that he made. What's amazing about this announcement was the fact that displayed the science behind how the implant is actually working. So I will be giving you an overview of what the implant does, how it works, what's the physics behind it, and we'll also talk about what does it promise for the current scenario or the modern world, and what future endeavors could Neuralink do. Let's begin. Elon started with announcing a long-term vision of his, that the people at Neuralink want to build a generalized I/O platform for the brain. That's an input-output platform, and this is the technology that they're working on is what's called a brain-computer interface. So it is a technology that can actually connect a person's brain to another computer. Okay, it sounds very sci-fi, but the people at Neuralink are making it a reality. Elon has been known to tweet before that humans are cyborgs. I mean, essentially, we all have gadgets. We just look at our phone. We can't go outside without a phone. It's that important to us. So, in a sense, we are all cyborgs. We have smartwatches. We have pacemakers. Or in fact, like digital pacemakers right now, and more stuff. Like if you look at everything, we got Bluetooth and stuff. People are wearing smart glasses. Everything, right? Then they showed some slides. They showed a video of a monkey. I think his name was Pager. The behaviorists at Neuralink, they taught the monkey to play Pong, which is a famous game, but usually found in arcades. So they taught him to play Pong and also do basic things. So Pager was not the only monkey during the testing. There were also other monkeys as well. So a whole bunch of monkeys, and they were taught to do various tasks like clicking, typing, writing, handwriting, and all of that stuff. Then Elon promised in the announcement that human testing will begin in 6 months.
Most of our paperwork to the FDA, and we think probably in about 6 months we should be able to have our first Neuralink in a human. So
I know it's a huge promise to have been made. It's a huge claim, and all they wait now is the FDA's approval on that. Now, he also talked about the short-term goals of Neuralink with their implant. So they're focusing on restoring vision in blind people, and he also specifically explained how people who have never seen before would also be able to have vision. And they also want to focus on people develop full body functionality. Mainly people that have severed spinal cords, so there's no movement in the bodies. And the technology, the device that they showed, which is still in prototype, it's what's called the N1 implant. So N1 is just a serial number given to the device, and this implant is this big. It's a nickel size big. It's almost a coin, and it's basically implanted just underneath the skin, I believe on the skull, because it needs to be closer to the cortex. We'll talk about that later. Now I'd like to talk about the technology, the science behind this technology. So if you look at this animation, you can see that a single human brain has billions of neurons and hundreds of billions of neurons. And all of these neurons are connected in a whole array of neural networks. Now, if you look at a neuron, it basically has three parts. One's the soma, which is the main body of the neuron. Then there's one thing called the axon, which has this long tail sort of, and there are dendrites. So dendrites are these little branches that connect to other branches. Now, a single neuron, if you look at a single neuron, it's connected to another neuron, right? Because there's a whole network, and between two neurons they're connected by the ends in what's called the synapse. So synapse is a small microscopic area in the brain where basically a connection is made from between two neurons, and they can exchange information in the form of electrical impulses. What happens when a signal is being sent from one neuron to the other? neurotransmitters are released, which are chemicals, biochemicals, and their job is to sort of be messengers or other carriers of the signal. And when that happens, there's an action potential, which is this tiny voltage that makes the jump happen from one end to the other. So what happens is, since there's this action potential, we can actually measure the electric field generated. And now the question comes, is there a way to measure this electric field? Since I just said, oh yeah, there's a way. How do we do it? So Neuralink came up with a method to create a very, very thin electrode, 9 micrometers. And what they do is, using the implant that they've designed, they can actually put it in the brain, in the cortex of the person, just where millions of neurons are. And when this action potential, when an activation is occurring, they can actually measure that electric field in the form of signals on the screen. Now, if you look at the brain, there are many parts in the brain. There's the cerebrum, the cerebellum, medusa. Sorry, did I say medusa? Medulla. There are different areas of the brain that have the responsibility for different things in our life. So one part is responsible for thinking, the other for hunger, all the human activities, digestion, respiration, or the involuntary work of doing something, thinking about something. So there are different areas in the brain that are basically responsible for all the things, right? So essentially, when the device, the N1 implant, when it's measuring electric fields, the fun part is that by studying the electric signals that are appearing on the screen, scientists were able to find what part of the brain was actually lit up when they were doing something. So when a person sees, let's say, when a person sees food, so what part of the brain lights up? Neuroscientists have been doing this for decades now. So they can actually understand what part of the brain is able to do something. So this was the basic technology that the N1 implant works on. Now I know there are tons of idiots out there who are thinking, oh, Neuralink, they're making all of us cyborgs. We're going to submit to our overlords and and technically become these robots. Lose the free will that we have. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Don't be an idiot. Think rationally. So human trials, even I personally believe 6 months it's a very short duration to actually claim that they will be doing human trials. It could take much more time. I could say it could be 1 year. It is a long goal. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So it could take some time. Now let's talk about the current technologies. Where could this implant actually be put in use? So when you have a brain computer interface, what you're trying to say is you can control anything. You can use your brain to interact with computers. So you don't need a mouse, you don't need a keyboard, you don't even need a touch screen. You just can think of it and it will be done. That's where telepathy comes in. Now I would now be talking about the title of the video. Is telepathy a real thing? So telepathy originally is defined as this ability to actually read someone else's brain. Which sort of is, it's magic, yeah. It's not real. But does the existence of such implants indicate that a telepathy could be a real thing in the future? It is quite possible. Because if you look at our thoughts, even what we think, those are essentially neural networks and we are thinking. So when you say, if you have studied artificial intelligence and you define the concept thinking is actually activations, thousands and millions of activations in the brain when you're thinking. There's tons of networking and all sorts of connections and signals. So if you talk about telepathy, yeah, it is a possibility. But as of now, no, we cannot say just because a monkey can operate the computer with his brain, that's not telepathy. Not essential. I mean, in a way, it is telepathy because you're using your brain to control a computer. So it's a good prototype for a BCI. They're not there yet, but they're getting to it. Not gonna bore you. We just have one final thing to discuss. What's the future scope of this technology? So if you look at the future, we know it is going to be, we are going to be symbiotic with AI. Now I know there's a lot of people who make fun of people who are afraid of the power of AI. You may think, oh, it's not gonna happen. AI is not gonna take over the earth and all of that stuff. There's still room for caution. Essentially, any artificial intelligence has ANNs, artificial neural networks, and they are black boxes. You don't know what's going on inside. So there's all of these. There's layers of neurons, and they're interconnected to each other. Now it's a black box. You don't know when the AI is learning what neurons are getting activated. When are they blinking? You don't know that. That's the purpose of AI. Without it's a black box. You don't know what happens. It's random. So there is room for caution, and we need to understand its power is it's something to be terrified of. It's not God level, but if it's not making the right decision, especially if it's not regulated, like Elon has said multiple times, there is cause for concern. So we need to be prepared for that. Yeah. So to bust that theory, no, that's not gonna happen. We must understand that the neural implant, it's not gonna partner up with AIs and take over the human race.
Stop.
So that was it. Yeah, Neuralink did made some amazing promises. To answer the question of the title, is telepathy a real thing now? Not yet. We still need to get there. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. You're supporting me in that way because I'm not a lawyer, so I don't get paid fees. Yeah, I don't get money. No, I'm not a lawyer. Bye.